Okay, we do have it now. Casey, what do you have down there right now?
Tom, we have a report that 150 people survived this crash. That means, of course, unofficially, that more than 130 people have died. Emergency crews are still searching the cornfield for bodies. The cornfield is where the plane crashed. It didn't quite make it to the airstrip. They are still pulling bodies from that scene. But yes, the fire has been put out, and most of the people, at least the ones that they have been able to find, have been taken to the hospital. 4 people were airlifted to a burn unit nearby. We understand that one of them was severely burned. At least 80% of this person's body was burned, and there were no vital signs.
Are authorities saying that there's any chance of finding more survivors? They're still out there looking right now?
They're still out there looking. They're not going to stop. I think they feel confident that there are more people out there. They're covering quite a wide radius. As you might imagine, the plane broke into 3 pieces and bodies were scattered everywhere.
Now for the latest information from the scene, we go to Casey Kapner from station KSFY, who has been there since shortly after the emergency landing occurred. Casey?
A United Airlines crash team, as well as the Federal Aviation Administration, has recently arrived on the scene and begun its investigation. They have set up a temporary morgue nearby at the Air National Guard. Now we're getting a new list, a new recording of casualties. Did you talk to any of the passengers?
Yes, there was a few of the survivors that were laying down, able to talk. There was one woman that I talked to. She looked like she was going to make it. She had a hard time breathing. She's busted up pretty bad. She was a stewardess. There was another young lady who was a stewardess that was still strapped in the seat. We had to cut the seats with a hacksaw to get her out. And she was in bad shape. She's breathing shallow, but she's busted up bad.
They're still scattered out all over.
298 people were en route from Denver to Chicago when officials say one of the jumbo jet's engines dropped off.
Our understanding is that the DC-10 lost an engine approximately over Storm Lake, Iowa, which is in Buena Vista County.
The DC-10 crew then radioed Sioux City Gateway Airport with obvious engine trouble and said it would have to make an emergency landing there. That's where every available emergency unit from the immediate area and far beyond waited in agonizing anticipation of what was to come.
My understanding was he could only maneuver the aircraft in one direction. That's what we were told. He did not have any control over the aircraft at that time. He could not maneuver it into position to put it onto the runway. And what happened was he actually ended up going into.
Of course, there was a crash, but did the pilot do some extraordinary work bringing that plane down?
Gene, it is very difficult to fly a plane without the use of the hydraulics. It's somewhat like trying to drive your car without very much steering mechanism or paddle a boat. Instead of using the proper part of the paddle, just imagine using that oar paddle upside down. You have a little bit of steering, but not very much. Yet he was able to bring the plane down to 11,000 feet, circle the airport, and attempt to come in for an emergency landing. No matter what happened, it was an enormously fantastic feat of flying. Gene?
Bettina Gregory, thank you for joining us this morning. In the Soviet Union,
the latest official word is that there were 293 people on board the DC-10. 193 are hospitalized at this time. 83 are confirmed dead and 43 are still missing. And officials say those 43 may be in the fuselage. It now appears that survival depended substantially on where people were seated, as many people walked away unharmed from the wreckage and others died immediately.
The section of plane that remained intact was rows 9 through 19, which had the wing structure supporting it. And that was the only really piece of airplane that had any substantial size to it. Everything else was like tiny little particles just shattered.
Because they were in a disaster drill nearby, both the Army and Air Guard were on the scene almost simultaneously with the crash. Local law enforcement kept out the curious. Emergency crews searched for bodies in the cornfield until late last night, but there were no breaks for the medical staff, some of which suffered under the strain.
Of any trauma or emergency room patient, you worry about their airway. So we had anesthesiologists and anesthetists on standby here, and as soon as we maintain the airway, we do the ABCs and we go from there.
Mental health professionals are counseling the crash victims, but they're also talking to the volunteers, trying to help them deal with the trauma of what they witnessed. Tom?
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Casey. Again, Casey Kapner reporting live from Sioux City, Iowa, the site of yesterday's tragic crash of United Airlines Flight 232.
Short of an airport runway, yet most of the plane's nearly 300 passengers lived to tell the harrowing story of United Flight 232.
United Airlines Flight 232, a DC-10 en route from Denver to Chicago, crashed while attempting an emergency landing at Sioux City, Iowa, at approximately 4 p.m. Central Time.
It was 3:57 Central Daylight Time in the afternoon when Flight 232 touched the runway at Sioux City, Iowa. Before the huge DC-10 hit the ground, Captain Al Haynes, a 33-year veteran of United, warned passengers to prepare for a crash landing.
4 minutes before